play against it. So Rek'Sai going to be locked in for the jungle here on the side of Hanwha Life. Supremely strong early game jungle. I think of it as souped up Elise in some ways, but the AD version. We'll talk a bit more about why she's really abusing the new Conqueror Keystone and other changes in the game. And Thresh for some more power. But Kingzone have a lot of options available. And if Cuz is blind picking junglers recently, it's Aatrox. So this will be Aatrox jungle. Almost certainly on the side of Kingzone. It's another one of those underline picks. I've got you here to confirm it. I got a star and an underline.
I see it. That's, yeah, you even got the star in there too.
Cuz used to go for the blind pick. Jax, he's
I like
given
the
up
X's
on that.
above Urgot and Akali, by the way.
I did. Urgot and Akali are dead on my KDA charts. Speaking of dead, it's the dead KDA. It's a dead win-loss champion of good old Silas. Let's see where Silas is going here. You're really a big fan of Silas.
Life game one. No, I'm not a big fan. And hey, Azir receiving some buffs. It's gonna go back to Tent for this time.
I had a question mark under Azir because it's 1-0 already from Pawn, and I wondered how high would the priority be, because Tent, if you remember, on BBQ Oliver's, they had that mid-season stretch where they won some games where Tent was just like, I don't care about this meta, I'm going to go back to the Azir, I'm good at it. He wouldn't win on it, but eventually he played so much of it that he isolated, looked really strong on the pick. And it's just ultra comfort for Tent. He's jumping on Azir, who got buffed on patch number 9.4. It looks like a small buff, because it says attack speed scaling 1.5% to 3%. And you think about how you get 10% plus from daggers, and you're like, oh, that doesn't sound like a lot. But remember, every item you purchase is based on base attack speed scaling. So now, Nashor's Tooth gives 40% more of the more you're getting from the base stat. So it's actually a way bigger buff on Azir than first meets the eye. It means one item power spike Azir will be doing much more damage than before.
I actually played against it today, Syndra versus Azir. Once he gets the Nashor's Tooth, it's like it's a fury of blades. He comes at you so fast.
A hail of blades even?
Yeah, I mean, you know, could even, I don't think he'll be taking that one, but...
I mean, we saw it from Pawn in the victory, right? When
crazy.
Hail of Blades, Frostmancy, Azir.
Hail of Blades.
Hail of Blades. Hail of Blades is a different problem.
Yeah,
Hail of Blades, it wasn't Kleptomance, it was Hail of Blades into Frostfang Azir. Is when we saw it from Pawn. It might just be straight up Hail of Blades, Nashor's Tooth Rush. Insane burst into even high attack speed from there. So very cool. And Hail of Blades, it also is based on base attack speed, so it will be better on Azir than before. You know what's better than anything else? Jinx from Deft. He's hovering it. We're getting excited already, but I would love to see it locked in.
Yeah, I mean, he even had the Xayah taken away with the Essence Reaver coming back to its old form. Seems to be coming back into the meta. We're 2 seconds left, and will it happen?
Oh, he's typing something in. He might be changing.
Oh, wrong. That's like
that's the opposite of Jinx.
I know.
Rom doesn't have any tattoos.
He's just gonna like put up a shield and kind of sit there. Be defensive. Nobody likes that.
So is it going to be Vladimir for Deft? He was on Cassiopeia in the second game of their first meeting. I want to see an 80 carry. Give it to me, please. Because of Dragon X. Something with range here, because you don't want to be in his... That range it is, Jinx! Yeah! Okay.
Just playing with our hearts a little bit, you know?
Jinx actually makes sense compositional 5v5 because you outrange with the rockets the Azir threat range of the Sand Soldiers being out.
Yeah.
And when I see a Jinx, and like, we need to get to this guy soon. Now, there's 2 ways to approach this. You go with Jarvan and you engage, or you try to kite back and force Jinx to overextend and look for an Azir sec play. They're going to take Jace. So they're going to actually go through the school of thought of trying to outrange and kite the Jinx. That is a risky way to go, because right now, the only real backline access teamfight-wise reliably is Azir going hella deep, and that is very risky on such a high damage and sustained DPS mage, so really cool to see. Yes, Rek'Sai could get there, but late game Rek'Sai is going to struggle 5v5 wise, so I think Hanwha Life are going to try and play around strong lanes, specifically top, and to a lesser extent the bot lane, and try to playmake around just how powerful Bono will be on the Rek'Sai in the early to mid game.
And if you guys have been playing some solo queue nowadays, the Rek'Sais are hitting the Rift in a big way. I see it banned actually more often than picked nowadays, just because of how ridiculous it can get. I had this Rek'Sai just come mid over and over and over again when a guy doesn't have flash and he's level 6. Rek'Sai just shows up and kills you. His AD ratios are insane.
Yeah.
And you can't miss if you get on top of them, and now you can't miss with your ult, so you're always on top of them. It's really fun stuff, and it's a lot of damage, so very happy we get to see it tonight.
Well, we will talk more about the Aatrox when we versus Rek'Sai matchup when we see it in action. The Sylas is one. It gets those jeers, but mid lane Sylas has situationally popped up. Very interesting to see what ult he's going to steal, because it's not the highest value game on the side of Kingzone Dragon X versus Unalive for sure. So Sylas, we remain to be convinced, and you imagine that Temp's going to be doing plenty of chip damage in the lane.
Excited to see him back on the Azir. Seems much stronger now after that. What looked like a small buff, but definitely could do some crazy stuff, especially with that one item power spike in the mid game. We'll have to wait and see how that does go down. Tal last picking the Jace. Seems to be high on the tier list, but last pick here just sneaking into the game. Let's see how it's going to go here. Match 53, game 1, Kingzone versus Hama. Here we are on the Rift once again. Will be Pawn hopping back onto the Sylas here up against that Azir. Could be a pretty fun matchup there. Looking forward to it.
Aren't you hyped that we hyped up how exciting this pick ban could be? And both from a player tendency, a meta, and even just falling back into historical picks like the Death Jinx, which is honestly a spirit animal. Many people would say the alpaca. I'll say Jinx. He is... We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about here, and a lot of contested picks. We're going to look over some of the tendencies here. It's Rascal's first game on Vlad. Actually, Tal has been our top lane Vlad player. We wondered where Rascal would go. 7-0 Urgot. Urgot basically removed from the pool. Goes for a blind pick, and I guess flex pick, Vladimir. The Jace was the one I assumed he would go to. He's 1-1 on the pick. Deft only has played a single game of the Jinx. Every time you see it, though, you are hyped to see it. And then we go to the side of Humble Life, and to me the most significant one is Tempt on Azir. He has played so much of this pick, and in the confidence he's in, because he's played as just so many great games, 6 out of 8 games in wins, he has been their MVP, and we're really excited to see Tempt level up on, it's not going to be Halo play, it's just going to try to poke with the summoner here.
We're taking a look here at the runes of the Rek'Sai. Definitely important to note with the 9.4 changes to Conqueror. Definitely Rek'Sai, one of the big, I wouldn't call it an abuser, but definitely one of the champions that can really make great use of that new rune.
So the basic thing that you need to understand about Conqueror, we talked about it yesterday, but of course, if you look over the patch notes, only stacks on champions now. It doesn't stack on minions anymore. So for junglers before, it was kind of a wonky rune to prop, because you didn't just chill on minions like an Aurelia and then surf on with full Conqueror stacks, like Darius, for example. For a jungler, it's kind of the same use case scenario, and Rek'Sai basically fully stacks both Conqueror and Black Cleaver, because every part of her Q counts as a separate auto, so just as she rolls in with Unburrow into the 3 Qs and the E, it's 5 stacks instantly of Conqueror and also the Black Cleaver. That's why the standard build at the moment is Warrior into Black Cleaver. From there, situational. Her AD ratio is something you talked about in Pick Ban, and something that people are really feeling now that her ult got so much more reliable. You can't dodge it really like you could previously. You could just arcane shift and flash away pretty trivially before patch 9.4. That now being a guaranteed hit, you realize that she has a 5.2 AD ratio on her burst rotation, and it's basically all targeted. So because of that, you really do feel it, Valdez. And the thing you learn about pro players, why we saw so many Rise metas over the years, is if pro players hear that something is super reliable, i.e. it doesn't involve a lot of skill shots and you basically get the full rotation off every time, and it's a high AD ratio, pro players will almost always take the reliable option over the maximum damage option. And if the reliable option is the maximum damage option, then it's going to be contested pick and ban basically every game.
Yeah, and using that new rune that, well, the change rune that seems to be very strong currently, as Bono coming in for that first game. Pawn flashing to the right side.
You're scared of that Rek'Sai.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't waste any time getting away from her. Already used the tunnel, so Bono just says, yeah, we got the flash. Just let him get away.
Now, 5.2 sounds like a big number, but of course, if you don't play the game, it's not trading spots. So you might say, okay, it sounds big, but give me some context. Lee Sin is a very similar champion in the early game in terms of AD scaling and gank threat. Lee Sin, if he hits everything, and remember, you gotta hit both sides, you gotta hit the Q, so you got the skill shot there. Theoretically, your E could be flashed away from. Lee Sin, if he hits everything, has a 580 ratio. Rek'Sai will almost always hit everything and has a 5.280 ratio. So, given that Rek'Sai also has a winning matchup into Lee Sin, in your solo queue, if you're like, what should I play against Lee Sin? The mechanic that you can unburrow, interrupt the second part of Q, means that 80 ratio is going to be way lower. Means that Rek'Sai's always been a preferred pick into Lee Sin through every meta. Given that you have the winning matchup and overall the more reliable burst rotation, Rek'Sai, given how she abuses Conqueror and has a really nice build path into Black Cleaver, should definitely be one you consider on patch 9.1.
And it's definitely part of the reason why we were surprised to not see her picked at all yesterday. Was banned twice. We're going to have to take a look at this Infernal Drake that's being taken away so far by Kingzone. Very early on, this is at 5 minutes it was started, and no response on the side of HLE means that it just essentially goes over for free to the side of Kingzone.
Invested a lot to make it happen, but they trusted that Bono was top side of the map. They roamed down with their duo lane and also the mid lane that provides coverage. So that is very much a depth win condition in the late game. That is very much a team fight choice, and Kingzone have the team fighting lead as the game goes on. The moment that HLE had the choice of what do we go for last pick, and they hovered 3 champions, I think you actually got the comms. It feels like we actually hacked into the comms, because the first hover was Jarvan. That's because, alright, we need to kill this damn Jinx. Let's get the Jarvan. Backline access confirmed. Then you saw the hover on Karma, which is, okay, let's try to kite back, kite out the Jinx in team fights, and have the shields to just allow Azir and Xayah mid-game to outdo the Jinx and outrange, and they settled eventually on Jace for, let's just win top lane and make it not about the 5v5. So we actually saw the evolving comms in the hover of the champions, so sometimes it's just trolls, this time it's actually very informational, and they settle on Tal in a winning matchup, Tempt in a very good matchup in the mid lane, and Azir and Xayah are 2 strong threats, but Infernal Drake and just how things will come together with Vlad Jinx tells you this game is on a bit of a timer from the side of HLE.
Yeah, and personally, I think they made the right decision. I feel like, especially up against Rascal, that they should have the analysis and information, the stats that Rascal, it's his first time playing it this year, right? This Vladimir that's super strong. He might just be picking it for, hey, tier list, right? Vlad has a almost 70% win ratio over something ridiculous like 26 games, right? It's incredibly strong right now. You go for that, you say, hey, Tal, one of the new big guns in the top lane, just try to win lane, and, go from there. We've seen so many different teams just rely on winning lane to go ahead and win games, so HLE like their kind of strategy. We'll see if it does pan out.
And I think a lot of people, if you ask them, what does a Kingzone Dragoness loss look like in 2019? It's not Deft making a critical error, it's side lanes, mid lane and top lane, one of them losing too hard for the game to actually reach a point where Deft is relevant to 5v5. So I actually like the approach of picking a good matchup into Rascal. Speaking of the mid lane,
Pun just runs at Deft, and he doesn't have his flash, so he gives his life over. First blood, thankfully for him, at least goes to Key.
Nice roam though as Key comes through. I love how they put that all together. But these good matchups on HLE are trying to remove the Deft win condition, the Infernal scaling win condition. They're actually coming together.
Yeah, definitely good timing. Certainly questionable as to why Pawn was getting so aggressive by himself without flash against an Azir with his ult up, but mistakes are made, and HLE easily going to capitalize on that. So, they lose only the Infernal Drake, but top lane's going well, mid lane now extremely well. And if they can just shore up this bottom lane and go with parity, I'm sure they're going to be pretty happy with the early game.
I think this play was actually super sick though, because Pawn just says, I want to trade, trade out the minion wave, and he's not that far up the lane, right? But Key roaming down is why the play actually results in a kill. I think if Key is not there, it's never going to be kill threat. I understand where you're coming from, and Pawn unfortunately has had these moments where he's been a big issue when it comes to laning phase deaths, but to me that's more about how well I smart roam than Pawn making a big mistake.
Uh-oh, Tal in a bit of a wonky one here is going to get flashed on with that stolen Azir ult, and here's Cuz as well. They will have enough damage to take him out and punish him for getting way too aggressive in the enemy blue buff.
That lust for the Scuttle Crab has killed a couple of top laners so far this week. People roaming down, being taken there, the deep ward put down from Tal. May not be scouted for a while. The kill ends up being an easy one. Bono's chasing in here. because he still has his passive, so doesn't have to worry about being first.
Snipes that one away too. As Rascal in the top lane, as you mentioned. Bono just gonna soak this XP and feel not super great about that, as Tall doesn't even have his TP to get back to lane.
Both top laners are built for lane. Seeker's Arm Guard Rush against Headstringer Rush for the laning matchup, but don't get it wrong. Should be Tall dunking on matchup. I imagine Execution's calling comes to his bot lane.
Nice little trade of ultimates there as Deft and Tucson really trying to push their advantage that they have in the lane already. They know it's Azaya with flash up. They know they're not going to kill her. They just want to get her to use her abilities and or something.
It is not expected though for Jinx to be up in CS against Xayah Thresh, a strong duo. So Tal stole blue and put down the ward and then was kind of milling around this river area. It wasn't about a Scuttle Crab like outline, but it's the same area that we saw a similar play happen yesterday. Ends up being too bold. It's off the map for too long. Sangyun being about a minion wave down in CS is probably the most surprising thing about the early game. That's an annoying interrupt by Deck.
Must have seen him go straight into that brush and back, but that was spot on. And very annoying, as you mentioned. As he would definitely like to go back. Does eventually get back there. But after that death, I mean, that does ease up some of the tension up in the top lane here. Vladimir gets a kill. It allows Kingzone to sit back. You know, Depth's going to get another one of these plates down in the bottom lane. And you look at the gold now, it's a lot more even after that early game that was initially looking much better for HLE.
It's definitely been more than meets the eye early game because we already mentioned Azir greater than Sylas in lane. Jace greater than Vlad in lane. But, and we saw, of course, plays around that. Oh yeah, Sylas died as well. Must be a huge lead. While it's 20 CS, do notice that a turret plate was gotten by Sylas in an Azir matchup. And that doesn't sound like a big thing, but if you remember, Azir was famous for having his mid lane turret after 35 minutes, and he could just farm out mid lane. So even losing a turret plate in the matchup is pretty surprising. It's a bit of a head jerker when you look at it. There is two turret plates for Vladimir in the Jace matchup, so the turret plate lead doesn't mirror some of the other leads around, and that means that actually the gold is even when the lanes looked really good for HLE in the solos, and Windows needs to be looked at.
Yes, hello. Yes, click the button on the right. That is the one that says okay.
We'll get there.
We're going to have a Windows update on screen for a very long time here. Sorry about that, guys, as it seems like communication issues, but on screen in the game, we actually do have Kingzone pushing for that first blood turret, and Pawn gonna get hooked up once again. This is that Azir ultimate, kind of at a desperation, and finally Windows is gone. But so is Sylas, so is Pawn.
So Pawn tries to stop it being a tempo lead to HLE. Really wants to slow down what's going on there, because they knew the Rip Tower would be an extra objective, but he's only ever gonna die. If you have an Alistair ult steal, maybe you can pull off that play, but really curious he would stay for that long. Rip Herald Charge is going to almost take down this turret, and while they won't finish it, so it is overall a turret lead trade to Kingzone, I think giving up his life there was too much from Paul.
And definitely interesting stuff, at least, though he is the one that's picking up these kills. You would love to get that onto Azir and have him scale. I mean, you see Azir with 2 assists, that could have been him with 2 assists. He on the Thresh, getting the 2 assists with the kills on the Azir, but not quite the case here.
So how did Kingzone play the game from here? Notice what we outlined in Champions Select. Xayah indirectly buffed in a massive way with the Essence Reaver buff this batch. Essence Reaver done. Azir, attack speed scaling means that every attack speed item he buys now fits him better, and National's Tooth was always the one item power spike. National's Tooth done. Now is the time for Kingzone to actually emulate the play they did just before, but a little bit better. Run around the members of HLE. You do not want a 5v5 now where HLE are maybe relatively more powerful than they will ever get this game. You want to take down objectives where possible. Pawn once again, he's around the mid lane, and while it doesn't look like it's too far up, it's a repeat of a play that cost him his life a couple of minutes ago. The first time, shame on them. Second time, shame on me, I guess, in that one.
It's definitely worrying stuff. You know, I feel for the Pawn fans because we've said it before. It's kind of like the flippy matchup whenever you throw Pawn in. Sometimes he plays LeBlanc and he just blows your mind and destroys the enemy mid laner, and sometimes he plays Sylas and you know, gets ganked a billion times and dies a billion times. It feels. But
What?
here we go again. He's going to dodge that, actually.
Oh,
Nicely
wow.
done, but it's 4-on-1 essentially here as Vaughn, with nowhere to go, nowhere to hide, is going to go down. But look at the rest of the map here.
And that's the thing, is that remember that Pawn has been the court jester for the hard carry performance for Death in successful teams before, and killing Pawn for a third time doesn't get them much.
Yeah.
They want to continue to not fight 5v5. I don't actually mind this Death at all. From the side of Kingzone, yes, Songyun will slowly take down a turret, but they're getting gold on Death, shared gold, and solo gold on Rascal, so both scalers are getting advantages. This time, if you're going to invest that many people, Pawn's Death is not a problem.
Sometimes, you know, it's a hard trait to go for, but Homolife got to be careful going so deep and leaving the rest of the map open because, you know, it feels so free, right? You get another kill and you try to push the bottom lane and rotate into mid, but you're also giving a lot away.
And this is where coaches are really important, because how do you feel about these players? You called out, let's kill that Silas again, and you do. And you're like, yes, we got it. But it's for the coach to tell you, actually, watch the whole minimap here. You lost way more. And how are you going to win this game? Well, forcing things early. Before items are there, what is the enemy team getting? Items on the people that matter. The Silas items do not matter this game. It's all about Vlad and the Jinx hitting their item spikes on time. So that's really where I think coaching needs to come in from Homolife. They have On Air, the most veteran coach in Korean League of Legends history. Definitely a VOD review that won't favor the players, but right now the players are probably feeling buoyant because they've got 3 kills this game.
Yeah, well, they have that. We'll see how many more they can get is really the question, because as you mentioned, your Vlad's getting ahead and your Jinx is getting ahead. That's always fantastic feels. The one thing that Homolife do have in terms of their big carries is the Azir got the kill once again, so definitely a ton of gold going to your one big carry.
And you were asking for this. You said, what about those support bounties? Boom shakalaka key is the only member with a carry. This is a really big thing here. Doa somewhere is nodding his head, talking about how bloodthirsty he has been, because that's the only way you can get the support bounty. You need to be bloodthirsty because the farm bounties can't generate from support. It's the 4 members of the team that aren't the support. It's the key. It's all about the kills.
2-0-1. Definitely a great start for him on the Thresh. Not his most played, as you mentioned, that was Tom Kent, but that was very early on banned by Kingzone in that pick and ban, so we'll see if maybe he can get even more bloodthirsty, go into a Blitzcrank or something even more entertaining. Would be fun to watch.
It would be, but you know, you're already talking about how, would have preferred to have those kills on a carry, and that's a very standard point, right? If it's tank jungle, you want to have it on a carry. If it's a tank support in general, you want to have it on a carry. In a game where the outscale from Vlad and Jinx is the main win condition from Kingzone, it means that Azil is not a rapid fire cannon. It may mean that a Banshee Veil is not complete yet for the Azir. It's actually more consequential in an outscale scenario that he picked up the kills than it would be in a more balanced scenario for Hunter.
Mono here. Saw him on that ward that just died. Dev should have seen the ward dying, but probably wasn't expecting to be interrupted so much. As now he's going to go for the back. Probably looking to finish off that Infinity Edge here. But decides against it for now just because of the pressure in the mid lane here from Homolife. Don't really want to delay that Infinity Edge any longer than you have to, but doesn't want to miss any farm either.
Seeing the zoom out here. River control for Hanwha. I've already given up 2 objectives before they would prefer one control ward in the area, but a ward on the pit being... Let's get it out. This is Infernal, of course, and they've already sacrificed 1. They know they can't afford to give up 2, whatever the cost in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. Imagine double Infernal, Vlad, and Jinx.
I'd rather not.
Well, yeah. And even Aatrox. You know, we talked about the 2 big carries, but even Aatrox is going to benefit from all that extra AD as Azir ult is going to be taken here by Pawn. Big knockup on a key, but he's really tanky. In goes Rascal into the back line, trying to separate everybody back there. And it does look like the Rek'Sai Mono didn't go too far, all by himself. And the rest of Homolife getting so low. He goes down. He's going to get the triple already in this matchup. Not to mention the Infernal that goes the way of Kingzone. He's looking for the Quadra, but Tucson steals it away from him. Nearly the ace goes the way of Kingzone.
Jinx getting excited, Kingzone fans get excited, but that was all Rascal splitting up 3 members. He dives solo into the backline way earlier than Vladimir should be able to control teamfights. Remember, he is spotted on this entrance. He's just brawling with Tal, but Rascal is able to zone three threats. He actually zones all of the damage on Unalive himself before he hits 4-item Vladimir territory, and that straight up wins the team fight because the front line is disconnected from the damage dealers. Kingzone's approach to that team fight is just so much smarter than Unalive's, and unfortunately the communication breakdown might have been too costly for the enemy team to return from. Big moment for Kingzone.
Absolutely. That Vlad that was first pick, that was able to get the 1 kill based on Tal's mistake, that has some items, was able to do its job in a big way. Props to Rascal for making that all happen. And Def says thank you very much. He picks up the triple kill. You know, he was just in the great position to make those kills happen afterwards and clean up the fight, and he's going to be rewarded as well. 3-0-1. Has the Infinity Edge plus a Zeal and a massive bounce.
And this is the glass half full of the Kingzone roster on paper, because he looked at it and said, man, Deft is going to have to carry this team. Don't know much about some of these players. Don't know where Pawn's at. Rascal and Cuz were subs on Kingzone, and they, of course, never even made Worlds last year. The glass half full version is, if Pawn and Rascal can be what they have been in solo queue, what they have been in the past, and can perform in lane and play their role, then Deft can clean up better than almost any AD carry in the history of League of Legends. He has been the epitome of a Jinx cleanup carry. He has been a 50% damage dealt of his team carry. His team is finally starting to mature around him, and it seems like we can count on Deft, currently on a 6 MVP streak, to be the Deft of old.
We always like to, you know, meme a little bit based on, you know, the player salaries and how much money your money is worth, you know, based on who you bought. Well, I don't know how much Kingzone spent on Deft, but they're certainly getting their money's worth for this one player that comes in and is just saying, I'll play around a bunch of other guys that, you know, may not have so much experience. They're not the biggest names in their roles, but give me the Jinx or any kind of AD carry, and I'll try to carry you guys.
And the Tucson raffle was very important as well. A lot of Korean teams would have wanted Tucson, given all the rookie supports we have starting. The Deft and Tucson together has given some experience to, much needed experience you would imagine for Rascal and Cuz. Pawn himself has been that faux third carry this game, just being trying to occupy Azir in the side lane while Azir is at a very strong item point. So every time you see Bono camping Azir's lane, they're not going to win through this side lane push on the side. It's just not going to happen. So because of that, we're also seeing Bono on a champion who we have praised for their balance. And we know Rek'Sai is strong, but Rek'Sai is strong now with a Black Cleaver, with a Warrior enchant being wielded in the early game. She's not strong in the late game, especially against a comp like Kingzone. So because of that, Rek'Sai just camping and only getting 2 kill involvements in 22 minutes isn't playing to the strengths of Rek'Sai on patch 9.4.
Hasn't been given much room to do too much other than kill that one Silas, as you mentioned. They catch the Braum here. Tucson is going to get the nice knock up, and Cuz a fantastic bodyguard looking for that snipe. Deft nearly able to take out P on the backside. Definitely a Monka-esque moment for that Thresh in this game.
There's no getting better either. The damage only gets higher, and we already said they dropped the jar when they went Jace. They have no backline access. Jinx will pop off this game by hook or by crook. How are Kingzone going to extend their lead? They're doing well in the side lane. They're trying to look for a pick. They could rush down Baron, but that's probably the only way they lose the game if the Baron is stolen away right now.
You can see that they go for it, but then immediately, even though Pawn is trying to play like, oh, I'm just clearing wards around here, it seemed like Humalife were able to sniff that out, and they just back away. They know they're too far ahead. There's no reason to give that one away.
That is disgusting items to have at 23 minutes. Double Zeal, Infinity Edge, 75% crit, AoE crits already on the Jinx, and now even more so with the Rockets. And Berserker Graves done. Deft is unbelievably fed. And again, this is the moment where you realize that you put everything into shutting down the Silas and making Pawn feel a little bit bad about his life. And